Good morning, soldier, and welcome to the M16 qualification range. Today's task is to qualify with the M16A2 rifle. Good afternoon, soldier. This is the obstacle course. Huh!
Welcome, Airborne, to the 250-foot free tower at the United States Army Airborne School, Fort Benning, Georgia. With the exception of the prop blast and opening shock, a drop from this tower is very similar to jumping from an aircraft.
Jumper going aloft. Assume a good let-up position with that T-10 parachute. Jumper, your parachute landing fall and overall grade was satisfactory. 30 seconds! 30 seconds! Stand by!
Jumper, your parachute landing fall was satisfactory.
Throw a flashbang into the room and quickly engage the 3 enemy targets inside before the effects wear off, and then proceed through the open door. Huh! Please fire! That's not the enemy! Ceasefire, soldier! Look at what you shot! That's not the enemy! That is an ROE violation!
Mission complete.
Welcome to class, soldier. Throughout history, soldiers have been helping their injured buddies, and you will be no exception. If you see a wounded soldier, your first action is to help that buddy. Being here today shows that all of you have the desire to help, but the question is, do you know how? What we will attempt to do is give you an appreciation for the significance of prompt, effective first aid and the basic proficiency in the application of critical first aid skills. Performing first aid on a fellow human being is one of the purest examples of living up to the Army core values. It is our duty to learn first aid and our duty to provide first aid to others. Your tests are in front of you. When you're through, come up and see me to get your grade. Good job, soldier.
I'm embedded with a team from the 20th Special Forces Group, and we just received an order to rescue a downed American helicopter pilot. The aircraft was shot down by small arms fire. An unmanned aerial vehicle confirmed that one of the crewmen is still alive, but he appears to be critically wounded. This Special Forces A-team has been told to go in and rescue him. I will keep the camera rolling. We are moving now. Stand by.
به اردوگاه مکال و معرفیتون به نیروهای ویژه خوش آمدید. Welcome to Camp McCall and your introduction to Special Forces. U.S. Army Special Forces soldiers conduct offensive raids, demolitions, intelligence, search and rescue, and other missions from air, land, or sea. Special Forces teams are amongst the most specialized combat forces in the Army. They experience rigorous mental and physical training in order to carry out their missions in a quick and extremely effective manner and must be ready to perform a variety of tasks anywhere in the world on a moment's notice. These teams are organized into operational detachments Alpha. ODAs are also known as A-teams. The men before you comprise such an A-team, and they will describe to you their duties and responsibilities.
I am the 18 Zulu, Operations Sergeant. I am the senior non-commissioned officer of the team responsible for the overall organization, functionality, and training of the ODA.
My specialty is Special Forces Engineer, the 18 Charlie. I have a wide range of disciplines such as demolitions, explosives, land and water navigation, field fortifications, bridging, rigging, reconnaissance, sabotage operations, and topographic survey.
I am the 18 Echo Special Forces Communications Sergeant. I have been trained to operate and maintain every kind of communications gear from encrypted satellite communication systems to old-style high-frequency Morse code systems. I also have extensive computer networking skills and know several computer languages.
The 18 Fox, I am the Assistant Operations and Intelligence NCO. Since many Special Forces missions required being behind the lines in hostile areas, it is my job to collect and evaluate information for transmission and supply vital data about the enemy.
I am the Assistant Detachment Commander, or 180 Warrant Officer. I assist the 18 Alpha in leading the team. All Special Forces Warrant Officers rise through the ranks first as Special Forces non-commissioned officers. With my years of experience, I help the captain develop a long-term vision for the training and development of our detachment.
The 18 Delta, Special Forces Medical Sergeant, the lives of my comrades are my responsibility. I have undergone extensive training that makes me the finest first response trauma medical technician in the world.
Make sure you reach them in order. When you get to the end, you will see a vehicle. Flash the headlight to signal for extraction. We'll have a scout out there to look for you. Move out and good luck.
Good afternoon, soldier. This is the obstacle course. Today's exercise will teach basic combat movement skills. Good morning, soldier, and welcome to the M16 qualification range. Welcome to McKenna Mount Site. Here you will learn urban tactical training. Great job, soldier. Soldier, look at what you shot. That's not the enemy. That is an ROE violation. And ROE violations are serious.
Welcome, Airborne, to the 250-foot free tower at the United States Army Airborne School, Fort Benning, Georgia.
10, 69 times, 69 times, 69 times. Stand by. Go.
history, soldiers have been helping their injured buddies, and you will be no exception. If you see a wounded soldier, your first action is to help that buddy. Being here today shows that all of you have the desire to help, but the question is, do you know how? Performing first aid on a fellow human being is one of the purest examples of living up to the Army core values. It is our duty to learn first aid, and our duty to provide first aid to others. Whenever we give first aid to any other person, you're being loyal to other members of your unit, fulfilling your obligation to other soldiers, and showing those people the same respect you would expect from them.
I know you're all getting a bit tired, but... Soldier, do you think this is a game? Well, it isn't. Well, okay, well, this, specifically, this is a game. But medic training is not a game, so you get in there and try harder, because we're saving lives here. You're out of here.